Good evening, ladies. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so lovely to see you. Please, can I see some cameras and some faces? I would love to see your beautiful faces. Yay! Welcome, Nono. So lovely to have you with us this evening. Lovely to have you here. Looking forward to hearing you speak later. Come on, ladies. Let's just see your faces just for a moment. I'm sure Andiso wants to take some photographs of us, hey? Smiling, everyone? Please. Thank you. Just a quick one, just to say hello. Hello, Katleho, lovely to see you. Neo, Mbali. Yay, Wakahana, dialing in at 6:30 in the morning. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's real dedication. Thank you. Zakira. Come on, ladies. Some smiles, some waves, some flowers. Yes, that's what I want to see. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So girls, it's so beautiful and wonderful to have you here this evening for our second Young Professional Cohort session. We are tonight talking about one of the most important topics, the topic that actually defines what Girls for Girls is all about. Tonight we are talking about courageous leadership. Wow, that's a big word, but I know we've got lots of courageous leaders in this room. And I'm going to just, first of all, before we start, I'd like somebody to read my sister's prayer. Who would like to volunteer, please? Neo, would you like to volunteer? This is a volunteer by nomination. Please, if you don't mind. Sorry, say that again. Neo, would you like to go ahead? Anyone? Anyone? Mbali, would you go ahead?
Hi, I don't mind.
Go ahead, please.
It's not showing yet.
In a moment. Here we go.
Okay. I am my sister's keeper. I will build my sister up, encourage her, empower her, and pray for her. I have no reason to talk about her, tear her down, be jealous of her, or to compete with her. I'm going to stand behind her and help her push her into her destiny.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Beautifully done. Well done. Who was that? Laura Ruera. Thank you so much.
It was Lerato.
Oh, sorry, Lerato. I didn't see someone's focus on their block. Thank you. So ladies, courageous leadership. Before we get into the session for this evening, I would like to ask who watched the video? Anyone watch the video? Hands up. Lerato, well done. Yes, Matumelo, lovely. Anyone else? No, yay, well done. Kaklejo, well done. Sarah, yes. Fantastic. Thanks, Manisi. That's beautiful. So we're going to have some beautiful conversations this evening because you all are ready to go. Well done, Bali. Well done, Neo. Thank you so much for watching. Before we get into it, though, I would like to ask Esther if she can give us a little bit of a review of what we chatted about and what happened in session 1. Esther, would you go ahead, please?
Okay, thank you, Val. I guess you can all hear me. I switched off my camera because my network is not so stable. I must say it was a very exciting session. And just for in 2 minutes, what the 3 things that I want to touch on is that we all did introductions and also spoke a little bit about why we are here tonight, why we are in this cohort, what is attracting us, and why the whole thing, you know. So it was quite interesting to hear the different reasons that we are part of G4G and in the cohort in particular. And also we had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful dynamic speaker, Petso Nsowe from GAPS from Botswana. And just to highlight a few things that Petso shared with us was, you know, he spoke about the personal mission, which is to empower her personal mission, which is to empower the young women. And he spoke about the principles to building trust, because we're focusing more around the issues of trust. And she went further to, spoke to a little bit about, what as mentees needs to be done and what is expected of them to win. For them to win, what must they do, and how they can start something and they must finish very, very strong. She finally mentioned that it's important to making those commitments to yourself, and self-trust, it first comes. And I think it spoke a lot about self-trust and shared some good stories of what she went through and how we can also have the self-trust and how we can win and take it from there. Most of the information is shared with us on the document, on a lovely summary that was done, and thanks to the summary that was put in there. And I think towards the end of it, what we spoke about was something very exciting, to come up with a name for the group. And I think it was lovely with the different names that were volunteered. We finally came with the power pillars. What I like about the name is that it is a combination of two different individuals or a grouping of people. So it shows that, when we work as a team, we can end up with a wonderful solution. So then also a lovely song that was nominated for us to dance to. And yeah, so the long and short of what we did last week was mainly listening to wonderful Petso, and importantly about everything where he said that failure is just not an issue, it's just a challenge to do better. And that's something that you can take through for today, and also to talk about taking over from building trust into what we'll be engaging on this afternoon. I guess, Val, the long and short of it, it's that much that I can share. Thank you very much. And if I didn't do justice to the explanation, please forgive me. Thank you.
Yes, sir, that was absolutely perfect. You got it all. Thank you. Thank you so much. And flowers to you for doing that and for being courageous and taking that summary. Thank you. You really did sum it up very importantly. I guess what I mentioned in the first session is that every session that we attend builds on the previous session. So you now have your villages, right? You have us as a village, and you have your mentorship circles where you connected with your mentors. And now you have your network, your small network that we are going to grow as you stay with us. What this session about is courageous leadership, as I mentioned. And I'm going to share some slides, but before I do, I'd like to just ask from the ladies, what was some of the most important things that you took from the prep video? I'd love to hear some feedback, please, from any of you. I don't mind if it's a mentor or mentee, I'd love to hear something from anyone. What did you find was the most important thing in the video that stood out for you? Matumelo?
Okay, for me, what stood out for me, she mentioned 3 points, but it's the second point where she was talking about investing in your gathering years. That really stood out for me, to say that as much as we want to see ourselves at a certain point, the process, trusting the process and investing in the process of becoming the people that you want to become is one of the most important things to get us there.
So true, Matumelo. Thank you. That is one of the most important points, because so many of us think that sometimes along the way we might be failing or we might not be getting to do what we wanted to do. But what we don't realize is while we're doing all of those things, we're actually learning and we're gaining, and it's helping us put steps in front of us to go forward. Anyone else? Anything else that you found from that video that was good for you? Neo? Did you want to say something? You on mute?
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I just got home, sorry. So what I took from the video, I don't know what time it started, but then what I got from it is that it's important to choose your circle very carefully and to surround yourself with people you can feed off. So feed off positivity, feed off opportunities, just anything that will make you grow in life, mentally, emotionally, in life as a whole. So that's what I gathered from that video.
Absolutely, Neo. Such an important point. And the other thing that she talks about is keeping your enemies closer, right?
Yes.
That you don't have to push them away, because actually keeping your enemies closer can help you learn from them, but also possibly turn them from enemies into something else. And that's so important in terms of who you're surrounding yourself with. Any other, one more, I'll take one more from somebody. I'm loving the voices of the mentees. Come on, ladies. It's wonderful to hear you speaking, please. Esther, you on mute? Were you saying something?
Sorry, Val. See, while the mentees are finding their responses, for me, it was about finding your mission. I think that's, for me, was very, very important. Thank you.
And isn't that what G4G is about? G4G is about helping you find your mission, helping you find that place where you can be a leader in the world. So I'm going to go into a little bit of the discussion now about this topic. First of all, I want to ask, if you could please type up in the chat, one of the homework was that you had to identify who your people were that you admired. I'd love for you to type up in the chat who some of those people were, please. And then when you put their name in the chat, I'd like to know why you chose them. What was it about them that made you choose that person as being a person that you admired? Please, could you type that up in the chat? I'm interested in knowing anybody. Beyonce, oh, what a queen, absolutely. Why? I'd love to know why, Sarah, why Beyonce? What is it about her that you admire?
Hi everyone. I'm sorry that my video isn't up. Network is quite horrible at these times. I love Beyonce because she embodies women empowerment. She is for girls, about girls, for fighting against people belittling girls. And I love how even with her being a mother, she's not shunting away from it. She's just embracing it, and she's showing that you can be a mother and you can be working and you can be a billionaire and you can be running your world. One of my favorite songs that she has is Girls Who Run This, you know, because she literally describes in detail how we work hard and we get back and we raise the children and all that. And she has all the aspirations that I have in a leader.
So that is so beautiful. You completely and utterly summed up exactly why she's important to you. And I think obviously there's something about what she does in terms of women that you can relate to. Is that correct, Sarah? There's something about women empowerment that you feel very strongly about. Am I right?
Yes, very, very strongly.
So this is the thing, is that we always choose leaders that they are, because they might be fighting or battle or representing something that you care passionately about. And in a way, they're almost guiding you towards your path. They're almost guiding you towards your mission, right? By the people we look up to in this world. I just want to see, one of the ladies said, Dudu Motlehi, and she said it's her patience, her forbearance, and being open to new ideas. Maitumelo, why is that important to you, the patience and the forbearance and being open to new ideas? Why did you type those things as being important to you?
They're important because I think I've seen a lot of leaders who seem to be very impatient with the people that they're leading. And for people to actually be patient with them, you have to be kind and be willing to assist them. And you also, like I said, you have to be open to new ideas because you never know what they're bringing to the table. You know, last week, Peso mentioned that a leader is not always right. You know, there's always room for more. So for me, that makes it.
Absolutely. And you obviously aspire to be that kind of leader as well, right?
Yes,
yeah,
most
absolutely.
Definitely.
There you go. So Kira, you mentioned Meghan Markle. Why does she stand out for you? What is it about her that you admire?
So the reason that I chose Meghan Markle mainly is for basically her courage to do a lot and stand up for women empowerment against like a really big authoritative, what's the word? Like presence. Because when you look at her as an individual, I mean, she's someone you wouldn't expect to go into the royal family in terms of she was an actor. And when you enter into a situation where you have like rules that you have to follow in your life, it's very easy to just say, okay, I'm going to follow these rules because there's something waiting for me on the other end. But in her instance, she didn't allow this to stop her from being who she wanted to be. She didn't stop this from allowing her to practice what she wanted to practice. And also, she didn't let that authoritative nature basically kill her dreams of being an individual within herself. So more than like what she stands for in terms of other people or what she shows for other people, I admire what she stands for herself, because she doesn't let anything, even if it's the Queen of England, stop her from being who she wants to be.
Even the Queen of England can't stop you. I think that's going to be our slogan for this session. Even the Queen of England can't stop you. I love that, Sakira. Beautiful. How you say Tuli Madonsela, you admire her strength and her ability to adapt to any environment. Is that something that you aspire to doing, Chloe? I'd love to hear from you.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
I think strength is something most of us struggle with. It's an ongoing, it's a daily struggle. So I thought, I mean, she's been a woman who's been through a lot, specifically in her position in South Africa. And I admired how, no matter the circumstances she went through, she was able to adapt to wherever, specifically because her value is integrity. And with that integrity, her strength is admirable.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Integrity, it's all about who you stand for and what you represent as a person. And those are beautiful ideals to aspire to. So ladies, I guess that homework was important in terms of making sure or identifying for yourself what is important to you. What do you value in terms of leadership, and what type of leader do you aspire to be? And that's what we got to think about when we think about who we surround ourselves with as well. It's always the people who are going to build ourselves up, people that we want to be like, people that we aspire to be like, people who build us up. There's one, I think, the most important message that came out of the session for me, in terms the video for me, and that was leaders are made, not born. I'd love to know if anyone disagrees with that statement. Does everybody agree, or does anyone disagree? Maitumelo? Did you want to say something? No? Does everybody agree that leaders are made, not born? Perfect. Okay. Yay. I'm happy to hear that.
I disagree with that.
No, tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. Chloe, tell me why you disagree.
No, I didn't say anything. That was not me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Matumelo. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For me, I've always believed that leaders are born.
So I would like to know then, I'm going to ask you, do you believe that you could be a leader? Who does not believe they can be a leader? I'd love to know. Would you raise your hand if you believe you could not be a leader? So every one of you believe that you can be leaders. So do you all believe you were all born to be leaders? Or is it because you've developed leadership attributes along the way? Lorata, go ahead.
I believe that we as people can develop our leadership skills. For example, at a younger age, I've always been a shy, I kept to myself. And I was very bad at public speaking, for example. Then I took it upon myself to make sure that since I knew I was good at explaining things to basically anyone, I took it upon myself that when I got to university, I made sure that I master my public speaking. I moved from, let's say in high school, I would literally shake when I was in front of like my classmates of about 29 students, to getting to a point where I could tutor at university level to students, let's say 80, 1,000, and it wasn't a problem. So as a leader, you need to put yourself in situations where you'll be able to develop yourself. For example, also being able to work as a team, because as a leader, you need to lead a couple of people. So I knew from the get-go, I was always very good at working at projects by myself. I knew that I could rely on myself fully and I would excel in those particular things. But then I later on decided that, okay, let me put myself in a situation where I'm going to be part of a team, so that when I get to the workplace, I will be able to handle being part of a team and leading at a later stage. So as a leader, yes, you might have maybe leadership characteristics when you are maybe from birth or from a young age, but it is also your responsibility to take it upon yourself to grow them to a point where you can actually be a good leader. So
very good points, Lorato. I see Mike Miller says we could be born leaders, but we could also develop them if we didn't have. I'll take that, but I also believe that every single person can be a leader. You don't have to be a strong personality to be a leader. You can be a quiet person and still be a leader. Being a leader doesn't mean that you are strong and that you're verbose and that you're out there. Sometimes people lead very quietly from behind, and some of the best leaders sometimes do that. We were speaking about the Queen of England. You don't hear from her very often, but she very much does lead from behind, okay? And I guess people generally know what she feels or what she thinks, even though she doesn't express herself all the time. But the one thing that's also really important to remember is that you can be a leader anywhere, okay? You don't have to be a leader as in a president of a country or as in running a company or something like that. You can be a leader in your space. You can be a leader amongst your siblings. You can be a leader in your school, even in your hostel. You could be a leader in your team. Even though you might not have the title team leader, you might still be showing leadership possibilities and doing things that show leadership. The thing about finding your purpose and finding your mission is about taking leadership in doing that. By finding your mission, you can almost choose what you are passionate about and what you really care about. And by doing that, you can help get other people to support you in that process and then take your mission further. And our amazing guest speaker is going to speak a little bit about that this evening, because she is somebody who's done exactly that. She started off on a certain journey and ended up going in a completely different direction. But on the way, she has garnered and got so many people enthusiastic about her mission that she's actually achieving exactly what she set up, what she wants to. So before we hand over to her, I just want to share some slides with you, just to go through what some of the key principles. So what I want all of you to be leaving here today, the purpose of today, I want you to all believe that you can be leaders, okay? Every single one of you in this room can be a leader. And once you have finished this program, you have the ability to be a phenomenal leader, because you are going to learn all the basic and important principles that it takes to be a leader. And we're giving you the tools to be a good leader. You need to just admire and identify those qualities within yourself and see yourself as being capable of exercising leadership and gaining confidence. All right? This is so important, girls. I can't even tell you how you can be a leader in the smallest space by just applying leadership principles. You can practice being a leader anywhere. So I asked you about what you watched in the video and some of your key points. For me, these were two important points. Professor Cohen spoke about making a pact or ongoing commitment with your stronger self to be or become a courageous leader that accomplishes the mission deep in your heart and deep in your soul. And this can happen at any point in your life. It doesn't mean you have to find it right now, or you have to find it you know, the next week or in the next month or before you finish the G4G cohort. No. Finding your mission is a journey, okay? And don't feel the pressure of feeling like you've got to find it immediately. Personally, for me, I'm someone who only found it in my mid-40s. That's how long it took me. But what I didn't realize is my whole journey, everything that I've done in my life had been taking me towards that point where I would eventually have all the skills I needed to do what I needed to do. And then the other quote from her speech that I loved was, courageous leaders are individuals who help us overcome the limitations of our own weaknesses and selfishness and laziness and fears, and get us to do harder, better, more important things that we can do on our own. They help us overcome our limitations. And sometimes we've got to be our own leaders, right? Because sometimes we need to be strong ourselves to overcome some of these limitations. So the key principles, ladies, knowing your mission and purpose, and that's what I spoke about just now. And this can take time, as I said, okay? And you might achieve different things. You might be at different stages. You might be finishing your career, finishing your studies, all right? You might be having babies, getting married, having babies, all those different things. They are all steps towards finding your mission and purpose. They're all steps. It's not your ultimate goal, all right? It's the thing that you're working towards to find what it is that you need to do. Getting my degree is not a lifetime goal. Getting your degree is a step towards achieving your lifetime goal. Okay. She then talks about investing in your information gathering years. And this is part of getting your degree, getting married, having children, all those things that you learn along the way. Every possibility that you can take to learn more about what you want to know about, the things that you care about, are investing in your information gathering years. Use the time when you're investing, and Nono will also speak to this. She gained a whole lot of skills and knowledge that she never realized that she would actually be using once she started her mission. And so it's so important. You never know when those skills are going to be becoming useful. For me, I mean, I actually studied a degree in development. I never used it. For the first 30 years of my career, I never used that development degree. And now in my 40s and 50s, I have finally been using those skills. You never know when those skills will come in handy. Growing your village. Ladies, I can't talk about this enough. It is so important to surround yourself with people who build you up, keeping your allies close and your enemies even closer, making sure that you are connecting with people who could possibly stay with you and help you on your path in some way. There are people, you are surrounded by people you don't even realize. Maybe just one conversation could fundamentally change your life. You never know. One conversation could change your life. And then that thing of keeping your eye on the bigger picture. Don't lose sight of what you want to do long term. If you have that goal in sight, keep that goal in sight. You might get slightly distracted here and there and go off the path a little bit, but make sure you come back. Make sure you stay focused. It's so, so important. These 4 skills are the things that you need to think about on your leadership journey. Never forget these 4 key principles. So now I'm going to hand over to our amazing guest speaker. Esther, sorry, did you want to say something? Carry on.
Thanks, Val. Just if I may, something that is not written rule, but something that also we can share to pick up on that is also allowing those negative things that have happened to you, and don't allow them to like break you or put you down, but use them and turn them around into strengths that are going to actually hone onto your leadership. Because as they say, it's how you get out of those situations and what you learn out of those supposed to be painful memories or incidences or events, you know, so those winter seasons that come to life. And I guess that's also something that sometimes as we grew up as youngsters, we're thinking when things are negative and they're not right, it means I'm a failure. You have to go through those, and those are things that sometimes strengthen you, because the same tactic or technique that you're gonna use to get out of that is what you're going to apply as one of your principles when you find yourself in similar situations. So that I must also add that thing that sometimes the negative, that's where the narrative came, that when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Those lemons, you do need them sometimes because it won't always be rosy. Thanks, Val.
Absolutely, Esther, such an important point. And sometimes when you think you're being rejected, I mean, that's what's one of those memes that you see on all the social medias. That sometimes when you think you're being rejected, you're actually being pushed towards something better. That is the truth. And I can say that with my age and experience, that is definitely the truth. Sometimes you think that you're being turned down, but actually it's because there's some amazing other opportunity around the corner. All right, let's hand over to Nono. As I mentioned, she's a commercial farmer, agriculturist. She's a lead of our Agribusiness Network at African Leadership Academy. She's a TEDx and public speaker. She's built a remarkable career. She's got her own company, Growth Shoot. She's a director of the Agricultural Development Agency, and she's a tax practitioner and investment specialist and financial advisor, and a squash champion. I don't know where she gets her energy from. To me, she's a superwoman. I work with her and I'm completely blown away with what she achieves on a weekly basis. Please give a beautiful welcome to Nono Sekhoto. Ladies.
Hi, everyone. Hi. This has been interesting. Val, thanks for the invite. Happy to meet you all. It has been nice to also just hearing some of your points, and at least I know who's in the room. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this. So ready to go. So, yeah, I'm going to try and make it casual. If you want to ask a question, I'll look in the chat. You're welcome to, or else you can just ask. I mean, I don't know how Val wants to do it, but I'm pretty easy. So, yeah, so I think I appreciate Val's opening remarks about how incredible I am. She says, the one thing I'd like to ask all of you guys before I continue is, this is a trick question. So how old do you think I am when you look at me? Write in the chat so we can see who can get to the closest.
35.
23. Okay, two more. Okay, great. Well, thanks, guys. Those are great numbers. And the closest person, let me see. So the closest one is Katlego. Katlego says I'm 35, but you'll have to add another 5 years because I turned 40 this year.
Oh my God, I was close.
So yes, that's it. So I always just want to start with that because I know people always, a little bit, they have, as you can see, think I'm young, but I think what I've found is that the minute I start talking to people, people can see, can hear from my experience that there is a little bit more age than, the 20s. So, and just to give you some insight around my journey, and hopefully you guys can learn something from it. And I'll use the 4 principles that we've all learned for. Thanks, Tiro. So I'm going to give you a few. So I'll use the 4 points that I've just heard from Val, because I also listened to the video, and then I also thought about what are the things that have happened to me, around those 4 points that can really, really just resonate with especially a younger crowd, and then also just to see if you can relate and understand that, things don't happen in big blasts. Those few moments that you have in your life can really be impactful, and only when you look back can you realize. So reflection is also very important. So finding a purpose, it's true. You can't sit down and just like, that's my purpose. It won't just come to you like once off. And for me, finding my purpose, which I now believe I have, after I've been working for almost 15 years now. So after working 15 years, after varsity, so, I've been an adult for a while, and only now I can almost see the purpose that I'm here for kind of forming in my head. And it's still not perfect, but I also like, I kind of understand where I'm going. But I think because this is very career oriented, I'm going to also give you a few ideas of how I actually came towards that. And the first point of call I always say is about knowing yourself. I grew up very different to most of my friends. I always do things a little bit different. I always explore things differently. And with that, at some time, it gave me a bit of an uneasy feeling because I felt different. You know, when you're younger, being different seems not like the right thing to do. But only when I started actually developing my career and sharing all these different experiences did people then look up to me and be like, wow, that's so inspirational. So the point I'm making there is that you've got to understand who you are and embrace who you are, because you never know who you actually will be impacting in the long run, never mind just yourself. So celebrate the talents that you have. And I'm going to give you an example of how it is that I got to actually understand that actually it's okay to be different. So when I first started working, my first job, I thought to myself, I actually wanted to be a stockbroker. I've seen it on TV and it looks so exciting. And I was just like going to be this high-powered stockbroker. And so I interned, which is very important, you know, going into internships and going to understand what it is that you are going to do. And I had the opportunity to intern as a stockbroker for a full year, to really understand what happens. But at the end of that year, I then looked back and thought to myself, I can see how I'm going to make money here, but it's just not going to work for me. Two reasons. The first reason was the fact that I had to sit in front of a laptop and call people the whole day. That's what a stockbroker does. And I thought to myself, no, I want to be out with people, because that's the one thing that I identified about myself, is that I actually enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy meeting new people, and I enjoy traveling. I enjoy being in many different places at the same time. And so I approached my manager, you know, in the second year, and I said, you know, the stockbroking job looks great, but I'm not so sure it's for me. What else is there that I can do that will allow me to travel, to get out this office, and then meet people? And that's something that I said, and I didn't even know such a job existed. And it turns out I could be a financial advisor. And what a financial advisor is, I could use my other skill, which was numbers. So those were the two things. My interpersonality and my numbers were my biggest skills at the time that I knew about. I knew this from high school. I knew it in university. And this was something I was sure about. And I was able to actually get the opportunity to be a financial advisor, where I'd connect with people so that I can actually share with them what I know, which is finance. And people used to feel like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. And so for me, the purpose at the time was really to explore who I am and to literally celebrate my talents. And so as the journey went, I then had to understand, okay, how else can I extend on this on this purpose finding, right? Because, you know, when I left financial services, so I did financial services for a good 7 years. And when I left, it was because I just didn't feel so valued when I was in that space. I was struggling with my managers, and, you know, I felt like I was just pushing way too much to show my value. And that's when I had the opportunity to move to agriculture, and I worked at the farm with my father. Now, of course, everybody was like, oh, there goes Nono again, doing some weird things. What are you doing at the farm? You know, it just seemed really weird for everyone. And then I remembered my purpose. My purpose was to make sure that I can add value. And, you know, adding value to my father as a financial person to a business allowed me to actually shine the first day. So it wasn't, I didn't go there thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know agriculture. What am I going to do? I thought to myself, I know the value that I have. How can I go and extend that? And I think for me, that allowed me to keep finding a journey of actually finding my purpose. So to cut a long story short, having been in agriculture for the past 10 years now, leads me into the second part, you know, which says you need to invest in information gathering. So finding my purpose was actually part of that too. When I arrived in the agricultural sector, I knew absolutely nothing about agriculture. I mean, if someone had told me 5 years before that I was going to be a farmer, I would have laughed at them. It was just completely unheard of that I was ever going to be a farmer. But the mission that I undertook was that I needed to learn and understand and see and explore and make a valid reason for me to actually remain in the sector. Or I could say, okay, I tried it, didn't work. But I think my attitude about the possibilities and the fact that I was open enough to learn opened me up to opportunities I could have never dreamt about it. So just to let you know, before I worked at the farm, I used to work at Investec, and I used to think I had like the best job, you know, working at Investec. It's all cushy and I had made it. But in all honesty, I was just a little person just working, you know, along the corridors. Nobody really cared about me. Hence, I eventually, you know, left. But when I started working in agriculture, I started seeing all these opportunities. Now, I'm not saying it was, you know, all rosy and all of that, but I think being open to your possibilities and be willing to actually explore what you're good at allows you to be in spaces that will probably be good for you in the long run. And that's what my journey was. So, I mean, I traveled the world. I got to I met the Pope, by the way, just to give you this. I mean, I don't know how this happened, but I met the Pope along my work, and it would have never happened if I was sitting at, like, you know, in Sandton somewhere. So being a farmer and being in this space that was completely new, and also be willing to share and willing to learn and willing to build new relationships allowed me to learn things I could have never really, I could have never known were possible. And I think and that for me is about, you must have that spirit of wanting to learn, always. Be open to new opportunities. Don't be stuck in just one way of thinking that when you were 10, you always wanted to be a doctor and a doctor does this. You know, yes, you can be a doctor, but there's a variety of things that you can learn that will be able to allow you to, you know, use your skills and talents at a later stage. So just to then give you a synopsis of what it is that I actually do. So as I started as a farmer, that's all I know about agriculture. But the work that led me to do what I'm doing today, which is what I believe is my passion, is that I then realized that I could still use those skills that I had, which was interpersonal connections, you know, being able to connect with people and being able to speak to people. And so as Val mentioned, I'm able to bring people on this journey that I'm going through, which is developing young people in agriculture. So in general, that's the work I'm doing. I didn't even know this existed. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know how I got here. It just so happens that while I was following what's inside, and because I was a young person who started in agriculture, and realizing that, hang on, how do you support young people in agriculture? Nobody supported me. I then realized, hang on, this is a huge gap. And so, but I could have never known that had I not actually participated in the events and the work that I did. You know, I attended fellowships in the US. So I've done a lot of work around understanding what are young people actually dealing with and actually struggling with. And it's also quite personal as well, because I went through it. So for me, I feel like the work I'm doing today, which is running the Lead for AL for Agribusiness, which is we're finding ways to support young people in building careers in the agricultural space across the continent. I feel like I was literally, I could say, born to do this, because the last 10 years have prepared me to be exactly where I am. And as I said, this was not a journey I was aiming for. I was looking at what inspires me and what's inside of me on a day-to-day basis, on a short-term basis. And now finally, I think after 10, 15 years of being in this career, that I can say this is the purpose I'm here. I'm here to help young people to understand agriculture and to have access to opportunities across the continent. That's my mission. So then networking and building a village. I cannot stress this enough. Relationship building in any space is the most important thing about who we are as people. And so, I see questions. Geez, I've just been distracted. Let's see. Says about yourself. Okay.
Carry on.
Oh, did you go to school for agriculture? Did you learn on the job? I learned on the job, but I did do a few courses. So my focus has always been around management. So when I did my course, it was around managing agribusiness. So I didn't do production. So I literally would hire someone who does the production, which is maybe the planting or looking after animals. So we have a farm in the Free State, and we focus on cattle. So my business partner is the one who does the cattle hands-on. You know, she's the one who's the farmer, I'd say, and I'm the business owner. But I literally learned to manage a business, which is an agribusiness. Being able to articulate your mission so clearly, thanks. Corporate finance. Okay, I'll talk to the corporate finance as well towards the end. So just to then hop on to the relationship building and building your community and your village, so they say. So in the video, it obviously speaks around the importance of having specific people around you. So my journey is, I'd like to give you a little bit of thoughts around how I see that. Two things. One, you've got to be able to know that there's a variety of relationships that you need to build on, and all of them matter. It starts from your family. So the relationships you build on your family, because the support you're going to get from your family, regardless of how successful you get, regardless of how bad things are, connections and relationships with your family are critical. And the second one is then, the second level of relationships is obviously people around you, your peers. The people, I mean, I'm still friends with people I went to school with in high school. And I still have very specific conversations with them around support, around opening up opportunities, around friendship. I mean, friendship is also obviously very, very important for mental stability, never mind anything else. So to me, friendships are always important as well. And those are things that you need to make sure you're nourishing and making time for. The other types of relationships are obviously professional relationships, where you get mentors and mentees. And for me, I've found that, you know, my family, as I said, is my number one. So my mom and dad are probably my biggest mentors, my biggest supporters, my biggest fan base. Like they go around advocating for me wherever they are. So to me, that is the most important. And then I've also found, though, stories around how I've met people randomly that have literally come into my life at the most oddest of times that I would have never, ever imagined. So just to give you another example, in 2014, I went to I attended a fellowship in Oklahoma State University in the US. And there was a professor there, Professor Edwards. Dr. Edwards was a fantastic guy. He was the one who organized the program. He looked after us. He introduced us to a whole lot of different businesses so we can learn about what we were doing back home. And over the years, I've kept in touch with Dr. Edwards. And now and then, he always sends me little notes about, you know, work that he's probably read about that's here in South Africa. I mean, he literally will just share something out of the blue. And now, you know, it's just so enlightening that, how many years is it now? 6 years later, a professor I met for 1 month, I literally was there for just a month. We have been able to keep in touch over the years. But let me tell you what's even more scary is that in the last 6 years, I've probably met 6 people randomly, others on Facebook, others that I've reconnected with, and others that I've met through ALA that actually have been his students. Now imagine when I tell someone that I've, you know, I don't know this person, I'm literally meeting them for the first time, and then I tell them that, oh, you went to Oklahoma State University, I was there, do you know Dr. Edwards? That connection that you make with someone when you share something that you both know about is just amazing. So, and so this is what I always say, like, nourish the relationships and also watch how you are yourself with people, because you just never know who you're going to meet in the different circles. So that's what I'd like to share around building your networks. Relationship building is number one in anything. Then, keeping your eye on the big prize. trust me, this could be a lot of hard work because we're focused on the now. And it happens, you know, it's to me, it's actually quite, you've got to be very intentional about it, because we're always also told to stay in the present, right? That's also a very good thing. Be present, you know, appreciate the time where you are. And a lot of times, sometimes where we are doesn't feel so good because you're going through a tough time. And so you want to get away from that, right? You want to like escape from what's happening right now. So you either think about the past, or, you know, and then you compare it, or you think about where you want to be and it seems like, oh, I'm not getting there. And I think being focused on your bigger picture enables you to keep just remembering what this that you're doing today is all about. If you can see that what you're going through, how hard, how easy, how fun, if it's not aligned to what you think your purpose is, then maybe you should, you know, you need to find a way to not actually be in that space, or not be in that realm. And I know that's something that's it can be quite difficult, I won't lie. But just to give you an example, so over the last 10 years, as I've mentioned, I've been a farmer. There's been a lot of interesting times where I said I've traveled, you know, I've traveled the world. I didn't need to pay. People were always inviting me to come and speak. I've been to Europe, and everybody just thought I had like the best life, you know, because obviously you're posting on Facebook. So obviously just people are seeing good stuff on Facebook. But in reality, on our farm, we're going through a very difficult time. I mean, farming is very difficult, and we had a very big project that we're running. And so for me to be able to, you know, stay in the game to okay, I need to focus on, okay, I'm doing this trip now, but I know that there's some trouble back home. All those things can get you distracted. But in all honesty, the one thing that kept me going, and the reason why I'm still in agriculture now, is because I knew that the opportunity for me to keep impacting on young people's lives in agriculture was that important to me. I thought to myself, hang on, all this hard stuff can actually help someone one day. And just that thought of taking what I'm going through now and thinking, hang on, this can be seen as, you know, something positive for someone else, allowed me to stay focused, because my mission is to find ways, channels, understanding, opportunities, how it is that we're going to support our young people who are going to get into agriculture, because I really believe that there's so many opportunities in here. But in all honesty, it is not easy, but it is necessary, because I would not be here working at my best job if I had literally just thought, agriculture is just so hard, I'm going out of here, it doesn't work. So, I mean, it is a, you know, it's what's the word? It's still pretty aspirational. In all honesty, the work I'm doing also inspires me, because I get to see young people who are doing really incredible things in the spaces within an industry that's hard. And I know how hard it is. And so that's why I am driven to keep going. And that's why I always need to remember my focus, my big picture. So before I literally keep going, I can speak all day about this, so all night. So let's then, let me see, I see questions. Let me address some. What is your view about dealing with toxic relationship and people? How do you define such relationships or people when you do draw that line? Yeah, toxic people are everywhere. They are everywhere. But, you know, in all honesty, in my space, I've always been able to kind of rid myself of them, because I, you know, in some level, I always put myself first. Sometimes we're told that, oh, you need to be considerate. Yes, I'm very considerate, but I definitely have a line that I draw. So I don't make judgments on people who come first. So anyone who comes to me is already on a big positive, but it's also very important to protect yourself. So go through your experience and learn from your experience. If someone has treated you a certain way, learn from that and understand that that is that person. Sometimes some people you can't get rid of, right? Maybe a colleague who doesn't treat you well, you can't get rid of that person. But I think once you have accepted that this is who this person is, just know how it is that you need to operate when you're around them. You don't need to be nasty back. You know, if I don't advocate for that, but I do think it's important for you to know and learn from the experience that people share and how people show you who they are. And don't forget that. But also don't change yourself just to show somebody else what they need to see. Keep being yourself. I see another one. I'm in corporate finance too, and it's challenging, as you mentioned, but more than anything, I love motivational speaking, women empowerment, growth in our finance. Nice. Yes, finance is just, it's special. And also we use it everywhere. And that's why I have been able to actually, you know, kind of stand out in the work that I'm doing, because when I got to the farm, I learned to understand, you know, the business through finance. So using the skills you already have is really a good talent that I think we all need to have. Don't throw away what you've learned already. I see I'm in need of help today. Just recently started my own farm project. Oh, wow. In Frankfurt, Free State. Hey, that's where my family is, not far from there, in Cornelia. And it's very difficult, but giving up is not an option. Yes. No, so inspired by the leap and bounds most young people in the industry are making. Can you kindly advise on the branding and marketing tools that have worked for your business? So, it very much depends on the commodity that you're with. So I'm in cattle. I almost don't need any marketing strategy to get access to markets. And that's because cattle is, you know, there's markets everywhere. It's easy to get in. But if you're using like, if you're maybe planting specialized like herbs or whatever it is, your branding is important, especially if you need to get into the market. So, but as I said, Val can give you guys my details, and you're welcome to chat a little bit more. There's a lot of work that you know, that you can do in terms of marketing tools and accessing marketing tools for your business.
Any more questions, ladies, please? Okay. Wow, I think I did well for time. But I'm sure there's got to be a few more questions. Anyone else would like to ask anything? No? I think you covered the. Oh, here. How did you finance the farm? There you go. Milk has asked.
Oh. So we had a different journey. So my father actually accessed the government program. So he had money, and government also supported him to have money. So there's a variety of ways for you to access farms. There is obviously going through the departments. They have different programs. It's not so easy because, you know, different provinces have different processes, so that's not straightforward. But you can also access, you can rent a farm, so you don't always have to own. And it's very easy to find rented farms. You literally can Google rent a farm in your area. You'll find quite a few. It's not as hard as people imagine it to be. So that's for Milka. And then Tandokolo, ladies, please do not forget to switch on your cameras. Okay.
With you, ladies, come on, please turn on your cameras so we can show some flowers for Nono, please. Come on. Flowers, that's what we do to Girls for Girls. We show flowers and we say thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Hold on. There's all the cameras on, ladies, please. Please. Difficult, I know. Let's one more time. Love, tell us when you're ready. Here we go. We're nearly there. Rebecca, Velebohile. Okay, one more time. Here we go. Thank you so much, Nono. That was absolutely amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
Any other questions? Anyone else would like to say anything? Any comments on some of what Nono said? I'd love to know your feedback, ladies. Simpiwe, you on mute? Did you want to say something? Okay. Anyone else? Esther, go ahead.
Thanks, Val and Nono. Congratulations on the journey. I can only imagine how difficult it must be. I've always loved farming, but I'm always scared of it because of everything that you've said. I felt like, you know what, it's something good to do, but it just takes another set of brains to do. But I think you kind of simplify it, but at the same time, you're not making it sound like it's just something that you can grab and go. It takes a lot of commitment, energy, but I think with what you're doing now in G4G, taking us through the journey, and there is the talent. I always believe that you all have got multiple talents, and they're all there. God don't have just given you one talent. We just need to find a niche to grab them, nourish them, hone them, and get someone to take the journey with you. So I believe you will be hearing from a lot of us around here. And if it's not your calling, hey, you can make it your calling with people like you holding us and making it better. Thank you very much. It's very informative and all the luck. Thank you.
Anyone else? No, we appreciate your time. I know how busy you are, so I really value you coming here this evening. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Val. Thanks for the invite and lovely meeting everyone, and all the best with everything.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ladies, I think that she spoke so well to the principals. We're now going to go into our mentorship circles. You should get a message on your... Okay, leading ladies. Anyone from leading ladies?
Hi.
I'm Bali.
Hi, ladies. So I'm just going to read through. Don't mind me because I'm going to be looking down. So what we gathered was the 4 pillars to build on from the previous session, which was the first one was knowing your mission and purpose. And that at your current moment, even if it's a matter of you doing something and maybe you feel like it's not your purpose, but it's leading you towards your purpose. And we should remember that knowing our mission and our purpose is a matter of building blocks. So one thing will lead into another thing that will eventually lead to your purpose. And also we should always remember to evolve as people and to prepare ourselves for the time when we actually realize our purpose. And then the second one was investing in your information and gathering years. So it's a matter of just personal development, whether it's reading books, even your experiences cater to your growth as a person. So the good and the bad, all of them are actually an indication of growing as a person. And then, yes, and also remembering that not every journey, not every moment in your journey is going to be your peak. So don't feel down or defeated when you actually reach that moment when it's like that block of like, okay, I'm not sure where to go and what to do, but just know that it's part of the journey. It's part of you realizing who you are and finding your purpose. And then we also mentioned, one of our ladies, her name is Lerato, she mentioned that she was investing, one of the ways that she is investing in information gathering is by reading a book called The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. So she didn't have much time to elaborate on the book, but she told us that that's one of the ways that she's taking to invest in her self-development. And also she mentioned that it's important to also read books also in terms of emotional intelligence. It's not just you're going to gather information based on your experiences, but also take into consideration reading. And also videos about finance and the process on building wealth. So learn as much as you can and make reading a habit. And then the third one was grow your village, investing in your network. So not just growing your village and investing in your network is not merely about just on your career path journey, but also remember as human beings, we have so many facets that make us up in terms of our soul, our mind, our bodies. So make sure that when you grow your village, you know that you have friends that you can maybe jog with, you have friends that you can discuss your career and your ambitions about, you have friends who have an outlook on family and the lifestyle that you want to attain. So grow your village and your network to cater to you as a person with all the aspects that you want to be in life. And then the fourth one was keep your eye on the bigger picture. So keeping your eye on the bigger picture and your goal will help you get through challenging times. And also it will help you to remain grounded because you know what your purpose is ultimately. So nothing will move you, but challenges will come and they will go. But at the end of the day, you need to just keep your eye on the bigger prize.
Mbali, that was absolutely amazing. Wow, well done. Fantastic note-taking and very well expressed. So thank you so much. You really hit the nail on the head in terms of every key element. Who else would like to have a word? That was leading ladies. What about the inquisitive links? Maitumelo, do you want to speak on behalf of us?
Power pillars, not inquisitive link.
Sorry. I was calling on Power. I was calling on Inquisitive Link and they weren't answering.
Okay. Okay, no problem. We started off with an icebreaker whereby we identified with different animals based on their characters, which later went on to prove right or to prove true based on who we are and where we want to be in life. And in terms of the 4 principles, we each identified as to which principle do we find ourselves in agreement with, or which principle do we relate to in the place that we're in right now. And we find ourselves, some are looking for the mission and then some are investing in their gathering years. And what was common is that most of us are actually trying to move towards choosing our village carefully. You can choose your village before you even get to the place of investing in your gathering years, because it might as well help you in the gathering years. And then we get to the place whereby we were identifying even the fears that are holding us back from either identifying our mission or choosing the village. And we find that some of us is because we're introverts, some of us are overthinkers, and some of us just have a fear of speaking out in public or in front of people. And then one of the points that we raised was that we really need to learn how to celebrate ourselves as individuals. We need to learn how to celebrate our talents without the fear of thinking that people will actually think that we have pride or we are just being arrogant and self-centered. We need to fearlessly celebrate ourselves and our talents, and which led us to the point that at the end of the day, we also have to make a SWOT analysis on ourselves to identify how far have we gone or how far do we want to go. And I believe that sums up our discussion.
Beautiful. Melo, you definitely got through everything as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Is there anyone from Inquisitive Links who'd like to give feedback?
Sorry. Yeah, so what we discussed, it was really just about reasons as to why we find it hard to do long-term planning, because we noticed people are always asking about your goals in the future and what are your goals and how do you plan on reaching them. But for me and Sarah, it's very hard to plan for the long term. We're more short-term goal planners. And if we plan for something within the next few months, within the next year, and then we achieve it, that's our way of celebrating success. Whereas some people may plan for the next 5 years. So we were just discussing the reasons as to why we find it hard to plan on the long term, and sort of how to overcome those, and why it could be important to plan for long term, but also why it's good to plan for short term, because then you can celebrate your successes on the way. And then we also talked about different times in our lives where we've needed to, be courageous leaders, where we've had obstacles that we needed to overcome, and also just how we find it important to pay attention to when we don't feel comfortable in a space or we don't feel happy, and we're able to exit that space to look for something greater.
Sakira, I'm interested to know more about the short-term planning. What did you discuss in terms of how you overcome that?
So it got pretty personal. We were kind of telling personal stories in terms of why individuals feel that they don't want to plan for the long term. But in terms of short-term planning, me personally, for some reason, I have an issue with planning for the long term because I can't. I like to do something and see the benefit of it sort of immediately, and then having to maybe have a 5-year goal. It's very hard for me to keep pushing towards that 5-year goal. Also because there's so many different things that come into play during those 5 years. So I like to think of, yes, I want to have more knowledge on a specific topic, and I want to maybe grow me. I want to grow my business. I want to grow in my profession. But I like to do things where I say, the example I gave was like, instead of saying, okay, at the end of 1 year, at the end of the whole year, I want to have this course under my name, rather every month read like a research paper that grows my knowledge on this topic, and then I still feel that I've achieved something without that idea of, oh, I've failed because at the end of a year I haven't achieved what I wanted to. So it's just a way for me to have that, I think it's that like constant validation of, oh, okay, you're getting somewhere, as opposed to having a long-term goal where I'm working on the same thing for like a year and I don't see any progress because the progress is there and it's hard for me to see all the way in the future.
Okay, that makes complete sense. And in a way, what you're doing is you're doing your long-term planning in a more structured way because you're focusing on short-term goals. So that's perfectly fine. I think what we were trying to talk about in terms of the big picture is in terms of thinking about what you really love and what it is that you ultimately want to achieve. And that doesn't need to be long-term planning because sometimes that finds you. You don't even realize it just comes along and finds you. Suddenly there's that one day, that thing that clicks in, and that is the thing that you really want to go forth and chase. Sarah, did you want to add anything to that? It sounds like you guys had a really good conversation.
I shared on why I wear hearing aids, and it's a very long story, but in the end, it's showing me that I may have not planned in long term because of how that happened. But I think with things, I just go with the flow of things, but I now need to learn on how to plan for things further and not just go with the flow of things and then pat myself on the back when something's happened the way I wanted it to, but to actually look at the bigger picture as Nono had. So that's one thing that I really learned today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. Would any of the other mentees like to add anything? Like just some insights from today, things that they could relate to or things that they felt strongly about? Esther?
Thanks, Val. I just want to touch base a little bit on the issue of long-term planning and being visionary. It's a very exciting conversation. And I'm going to look at it from two aspects. If you look at what COVID has taught us and has done to the world, can you imagine those companies and those organizations or those people who said, I'll plan for the next 3-5 years, I'll do it. And then COVID just happened and the world had to shut down completely. And some of those long-term plans found themselves being distracted. That's in an extreme example. But if you bring it closer to home, to where we are now, it's always good to be visionary and say, what is my end state? Ultimately, I want to achieve that. But the how, the getting in there, it could be either in writing articles, rather than saying, I'm going to do my PhD, which will take me 5 or 6 years there. But you can still achieve that vision that you want to achieve by going through it in different ways. So I think sometimes it's good that the team talked about thinking long term, or being visionary. So you got to have a vision, but how you're going to achieve it, then you can stagger it into manageable, sizable chunks that will lead you towards there. And I thought that's what I wanted to share, to say that the world has actually changed overnight, to say sometimes what you might plan as a long-term plan, there could be a disruption in it. We just need to always remember that it's what you call it, it's a new normal, and everything's abnormal like it used to be. It's not like it used to be in the past. Thanks, Val. And I hope I'm not confusing people by making those two extreme scenarios, because that's the reality of being an entrepreneur as well.
Thanks, Esther. Does anyone have any response to that? I'd love to know if there are any other insights from any of the other mentors.
Val, I was just going to comment on what Esther said. I think as much as people, me included, are very, oh my word, you know, Corona has ruined everyone's plans or blah, 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 blah. It's also very interesting to see how people have adapted to it, because it's pushed people out of their comfort zone, and it's made everyone do new things that they may not have been prepared for, because, you know, they have a business that they need to keep running, or they have a family that they need to continue feeding. And so it's really interesting to see the ways in which such a huge pandemic has actually challenged people to be such great versions of themselves that they didn't think they had it in them. So while none of us were prepared for it, it's nice to see the preparations that are coming from it and how it's grown people and businesses in a way.
And I think you're so right, Sakira. I think what it's taught us is that people are fundamentally very resilient, and we are able to overcome. And I think the world, in some of the worst countries in the world where some of the biggest atrocities have happened, what people get through and how people get past some of those things, it just shows us that people are able to overcome many, many things. And us as, I think, yeah, that's, anyone else? I'd like to hear from Mokihana. Milka, would you like to add anything?
Well, we had a lot of fun just sharing our own personal stories with each other and laughing. We got through it. Unfortunately, the network wasn't working today, so we lost most of the people in the group, but thankfully Milka and I stayed on. So,
is there any insight you'd like to add based on some of the discussions today?
Sorry, I have a lot of noise in the back. Sorry, I wanted to say that when I was experiencing change and being pushed into the forefront, I read a book called Who Moved My Cheese? And sort of we always want to follow what we know, and any change is we are a bit worried about a change. So that helped me to see, yeah, sometimes you have to change tack to grow. And that's part of information gathering, I think, that you learn more as people push you, people see what you're good at, and they push you in that direction. That's also growing your village, because the village pushes you where you can best achieve good results.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd like to hear from other mentors. Lorato, did you, any insights for you today that you'd like to share? Simpiwe?
Bali has already echoed my sentiments. She was the one who was delivering from our group, and that was a group effort. So my opinions and sentiments are laced in there.
I'd love to know if you have any insights yourself based on some of the things that we've chatted about today, though, like your personal insights.
I'm blanking right now. I'm blanking right now.
No problem. Any reaction to Nono's chat or anything that she said?
Nono's chat. I loved how she spoke about nurturing relationships. you know, and not only nurturing relationships, but also how she responded to the negative energy and toxic people, that you don't have to be toxic back. I love that take on the high road, because a lot of people talk about, you know, just turn the other cheek, where she was like, yes, acknowledge that people are toxic, some of them, and but you don't have to be that, you know. I really enjoyed that, and I just enjoyed how genuine she was about her journey. Like it's very rare that you hear people who are speaking about their past, trying to motivate other people, be so candid and honest about their valleys and peaks, and just their confusion and their insecurities, you know, because the road to the top isn't very straight. You know, and it's quite refreshing to hear someone being so honest and open about their challenges and just their shortcomings, and how she overcame them, and how she used her knowledge and her background to excel in her space.
Absolutely. Thank you, Simpiwe. I appreciate that. Tolo, would you like to add anything? Tapasile, I see you connecting. Did you want to say something? Tapasile? Sibusiswe? All right. Well, ladies, I think that we have, everyone has said their little bit. Thank you for your insights this evening and for bringing your commentary to the table. Like I said, this session is fundamentally the foundation of what G4G is about. And I see that we have the 12 people who have stayed behind. I think one of the things that leadership really does show us is commitment and the ability to stay no matter the circumstances. Thank you to those of you who kept getting cut off and kept coming back, because that shows that this session is important to you and that you want to be here and that you want to actually commit to this process. These mentors give up a lot of their time and a lot of effort in the background to make these sessions happen. So we really appreciate the commitment from the mentees in terms of making time to be here and stay the full session, because so much, you never know when the pearl of wisdom is going to come. It can be in the beginning, it can be in the middle, or it could be right at the end. So we appreciate your commitment. So thank you. To end off this evening, I'm just going to go through what the homework is. And we have homework for the next week, which is really important homework. So our session next week is called The Art of Communication. And just to confirm, the session is next week. So we don't have a 2-week gap. It's next week, next Thursday. It will be facilitated by Nkobile. She will be facilitating the session. We were doing the art of communication. So first, please complete the feedback form, which we will share with you immediately after the session. We will give you a video that you must please watch, which is the prep video for that session, which covers a framework that we use at G4G and that you will be able to use for the rest of your life, which will just help you in terms of your communication skills. What we'd like you to do is look out for some great speeches, and I'll share some as well on the chat. Some good speeches by Chimamanda, Lupita, Malala, Obama. There are some amazing speeches out there, and what I'd like you to do is listen to those speeches and think about what makes it a good speech. What is that person doing that actually makes the speech successful or makes you engage with the content? That's what we need you to do. So try and watch at least 1 or 2 of them. And then we'd like you to prepare a 2-minute speech or a poem that is on your topic of interest. And that can be anything. You can talk about your dog, you can talk about your cat, you can talk about your family, you can talk about your son, your daughter, your school, whatever you are interested in. We'd love you to talk for 2 minutes on a topic of your interest, something that you really, really care about. It must be something that you are absolutely passionate about. So that is the homework. Quite a lot, but important, all of it, please. And once you reach the session, you'll understand why. So I will share this slide with you afterwards. Any questions or concerns, queries?
Hi, Val. I was asking if the ladies who fell off after the plenary, do they need to fill in the feedback form?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I'd like to know why they fell off, and we submit the form on the user group, on the group. So everyone should try. Everyone who was in the group session at some stage should try and fill it out. Okay. Yeah. If you can just please give me, obviously, as we talked about the attendance afterwards for the full session, and we can chat about that afterwards. Okay, ladies, thank you so much. I wish you well. I wish you a good week, and we will see you at the next planning session and at the next session. Thank you so much. See you then. Bye-bye.